evening and welcome back to another episode of Patriots of the American Republic. I am your host, Carlos, and I'm coming back with some more information. Right now, we're going to go ahead and tackle some of the incorrect focus from the Democratic leadership. It seems like with the rise of inflation, cost of living going up, we've got war going on overseas, we've got threats coming in from North Korea, China, Russia, Iran. We've got, the usual vipers are out and about, right? Based on everything that's happening, the Democrats just seem focused on the wrong things. And let's go ahead and walk through it, right? One of the things that they seem very, very focused on is abortion, right? Earlier this year, the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade. And what it did was it gave the decision on abortion back to the individual states. It said to the states, hey, you guys are going to go ahead and rule yourselves, govern yourselves, essentially, right? But the left just became just insane. They don't want that. They want to be able to kill their babies at every single moment, anytime. Doesn't matter the reason, doesn't matter the stage, doesn't matter at what point. And so it's really, really confusing why abortion that impacts a small population of Americans would be equally important as something like the economy, which impacts almost all Americans, right? Based on our last segment, we know that the rich don't really feel the impact, but there's still an impact, right? There's still a decrease of their or an increase of their expenses for everyday things, right? Again, they don't feel it like we do, but it's still something that impacts 100% of Americans. So let's take a look at gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams giving her weigh-in or insight on the relevance of the matter.
I would assume, maybe incorrectly, but while abortion is an issue, it nowhere reaches the level of interest of voters in terms of the cost of gas, food, bread, milk, things like that. What can a governor, what could you do as governor to alleviate the concerns of Georgia voters about those livability, daily, hourly issues that they're confronted with?
But let's be clear. Having children is why you're worried about your price for gas. It's why you're concerned about how much food costs. For women, this is not a reductive issue. You can't divorce being forced to carry an unwanted pregnancy from the economic realities of having a child. And so it's important for us to have both and conversations. We don't have the luxury of reducing it or separating them out, but we also have to talk about what a governor can do.
So there you have it. She equates abortion to the economy. I do want to call out the headline that I got this video from, to be quite honest with you. The GOP took a position that says Stacey Abrams says that the way to solve inflation is through abortion. I didn't get that based on this particular interview and this particular segment. So I do want to call out the falsehoods of the GOP for that. Or I don't know if it was the GOP. I think I got it from the GOP YouTube channel or something like that. I don't know. But whoever wrote that title was from the right, or middle, right? I don't think it was a leftist, but the headliner was inaccurate. Based on that, I don't think she's saying that to solve inflation is to have more abortions. What I do get out of it is that she's equating the two as equally important, and she's saying, hey, look, some people are considering having an abortion because of the high inflation, because of the high cost of living, and so on and so forth. That's something that they're going to have to make a decision on. And she's right when it comes to that. I mean, if that's where her position is, she's not wrong. I mean, there could be people that are questioning whether they can afford to have a child or not, right? But let's not convolute the two, right? Because what she's doing is, in essence, or what the left loves to do is saying, hey, look, the abortion, it's a woman's right to choose. What about rape? What about incest? And so on and so forth. And all these different topics, right? How about we fix the economy so that way people don't even have to think about abortion because of their financial struggles? How about we fix the economy? We get oil going. We become energy independent like we were in 2019. And then people will be more open or willing to to have their child versus to abort it because of finances. Like, finances shouldn't even be an issue. We are one of the richest countries, if not the richest country in the world. Why should anybody be focusing in on that? You're going to tell me we don't have assistance to help pregnant women, right? And why is the premise that all women are pregnant that are single? Shouldn't it be a family? Like, I get it if you're a single mom, but what about the ones that are that as parents they're both struggling, right? So it's a multitude of different things that are happening there. But again, why is this an equally important issue? Let's break it down, because we've got 100% of the people that are focused, that are affected by the economy, right? 100% of it. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you're impacted some way, shape, or form. The variability of that impact, right, is different amongst all of us, but nonetheless, we're impacted some way, shape, or form. 50%, about 50% of America's population are women. Let's just start there. Out of that 50%, how many women are actually pregnant? Out of that 50%, and obviously, so that decreases, right? So what is it, like 10% of American women are pregnant? Maybe less than that. I don't know the actual numbers. I'm just guessing. But let's just say it's 10%. I don't think it's that high. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Out of that 10%, how many are actually considering abortion? It's not the full 10%, that's for sure, right? What is it? 5%? Half of that are considering abortion? 2%? 1%? 3%? I don't know. But it's a relatively small pocket when you look at the bigger scheme of things. So why is this the Democrats' talking point? Why is this their focus? I don't get it. And here's what it shows me, that they don't really care about the American people. The majority. They only care about their political power. Why? Because this is a talking point to rally their base. And normal people, again, even if you're a Democrat, you're going to be like, wait a minute. My savings account is getting smaller. I'm spending more at the pump. I'm spending more at the grocery stores. I don't even have a baby, or maybe I'm done with my babies. I raised my babies. Maybe they're out on their own, and I'm still feeling. Guys, this doesn't impact, the abortion talk doesn't impact everybody. So again, why they're putting it on the same level, I don't know. But she's not the only one saying this. Just about every prominent Democrat is saying it, including the president, Joe Biden. Let's listen.
Clarify for midterm voters, top domestic issue, inflation or abortion?
All important. Unlike you, there's no one thing. It crosses the board. There's multiple issues, and they're all important. And we ought to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. You know that old expression? Among the only press in the world.
I mean, he's right. There are multiple issues. We all have multiple issues. And we do an assessment of those issues, which ones are more important and which ones are not. We can't tackle every single issue at the same time. Some you can do, you could do some, maybe multiple, right? Simultaneously, Maybe you could do some simultaneously, but some you can't. You have to evaluate and assess which ones are more important and which ones are not. And let's face it, every single person has the economy on their mind. Only if you are affected by or only if you are actually pregnant, are you, and thinking about abortion, are you really concerned about abortion? Unless you're some activist, right, and women's rights and all this nonsense, right? We have women's rights here. I wish these activists would go to Iran and go protest in Iran for women's rights. But anyhow, that's for a different segment. But again, this goes to show the lack of importance, the lack of focus that the Democrats have regarding issues that are affecting everyday Americans, right? Not too long ago, maybe a couple of days ago, as a matter of fact, or last week, there was a trans person that sat down with Joe Biden, and the individual interviewed Joe Biden, and apparently the big topic was trans rights. Again, what percentage of the population, of the U.S. population, is trans? What percentage does it impact? And let's be real. What's limiting a trans person in our society? There's no law that discriminates against a trans person. You're free to do whatever you want, right? Where the issue comes in is when it comes to children, right? That's really the issue. Minors are not in a position to make decisions, especially decisions that can impact them for the rest of their lives. So that's the focus. allowing our kids to mutilate their bodies and become something different, that's really the focus. Again, what percentage of that impacts the American people? It's absolutely crazy what these people are doing, right? We know based on defund the police movement, crime is up across the entire country. You know, the other night last week I watched the debate here for the gubernatorial debate here in Florida between Charlie Crist and Ron DeSantis. And Charlie Crist tried to make a point where he said that crime was up here in the state of Florida. It's up across the entire country. And honestly, it's really good here in Florida. I don't have the numbers, but I'm pretty sure that if we looked at where the crime spikes are, they're going to be in democratically held counties, to be quite frank. Because Ron DeSantis is a no-nonsense type of governor when it comes to crime. And most of the people, especially the people that are in red counties, are the same. We have multiple sheriffs coming out and saying, hey, we're not messing around here. So if there is a spike in crime, I would be willing to bet that those are in blue counties, blue cities. But nonetheless, crime is up. Crime is something that impacts almost every single American. You may be like, well, I haven't been robbed, and I haven't had an issue and so on. But you could be. You could be walking down the street. You could get stabbed, depending on the city that you live in, randomly. There have been multiple reports coming out of New York City where people have just been stabbed. There was a first respond worker that was stabbed a number of times in a subway. People were pushed randomly in a subway. People have been beaten up randomly, and so on and so forth. Heck, are we not just seeing now reports of Paul Pelosi being attacked? We don't know the details who the attacker is. That's crime. Regardless of how you slice it, it's crime. So crime is up across the country, and that should be something that, again, the Democrats should be focusing in on, but they're not. Why? Because they were head of that defund the police movement. Again, this is a self-inflicted wound based on the moronic policies that these people put in place because they thought they were going to be cool. They were going to be down with this movement. They based it on an emotional trigger that took place in 2020. And here are the results. We've got actual innocent people, victims, being affected and impacted by the rise of crime. So it's absolutely disgusting. What else is going on that should be top priority on the Democrats' scope? The war that's going on in Ukraine. And yeah, you could say, well, they are focusing on that. Look how much money they're going. No, I'm not talking about money. I'm not talking about money. Stop sending them money. Stop it. We don't have it, right? We're struggling. Our fellow Americans are struggling. Why are we sending stuff that we need ourselves? But there's a report that came out not too long ago suggesting, or I should say announcing or denouncing. No. There's a report that came out that shows and confirmed, that's the word I was looking for, confirms that there was a peace agreement on the table between Ukraine and Russia, and the UK and the US didn't want that. Let's take a look.
Meanwhile, new reporting alleges that back in April, peace was a very realistic possibility. According to reporting in Foreign Affairs, the tentative agreement called for Russia to withdraw to its February position in exchange for Ukraine promising not to seek NATO membership. Joining us now to weigh in on all of this is Aaron Mate, host of the Pushback on the Gray Zone. Aaron, welcome.
Good to be here.
So I heard you talking about this in the context of an interview you did recently with Katie Halper on Useful Idiots with Noam Chomsky. And, Chomsky very compellingly laid out all of the ways in which the U.S. media machine has been working in overdrive to prevent people from realizing that there was an off-ramp to this crisis. Can you talk a little bit about that?
We talked about this last time I was on your show in March. There were talks between Ukrainian and Russian negotiators, and they had set plans for a meeting in Turkey to finalize an agreement. But Boris Johnson from the UK came in and basically told Zelensky no, and said to him that even if you reach an agreement with Russia, based on security guarantees from the West, we will not provide you with those security guarantees, basically making any such agreement meaningless. And Zelensky took the orders, and the talks were sabotaged. Now we have, from the American side, confirmation of what was reported in the Ukrainian media, and that comes in the form of Fiona Hill writing in Foreign Affairs that, yes, during that same period, Ukraine and Russia had worked out an agreement where Russia would basically withdraw to its pre-February invasion position, controlling Crimea, and also controlling, or at least having close ties with, the breakaway regions of the Donbass. And also Ukraine would pledge not to join NATO. That was the outline of a peace agreement that Fiona Hill says was reached between Ukraine and Russia. What she omits was what we talked about last time, which is that Boris Johnson did this coming from with U.S. orders, obviously, told Zelensky that the game was off. And so that's why we have still today this war going on.
That's so frustrating because, like, what is the point? The point of NATO was supposedly to stop conflict between Russia and European neighbors. So if we can avoid this conflict with it, like, NATO is not an end to itself, in theory. It was supposed to avoid a very conflict like this. So it is so frustrating that, you know, by the accounts you just laid out, what sounds like a good, in fact, as good a peace agreement as Ukraine could ever get, because it can't, you know, unilaterally win this war, defeat Russia, and claim all that territory. That's a great deal. And you know, what do you make of the short-sightedness of not just, well, Ukrainian officials, but U.S. officials?
So there you have it. That report has been confirmed, and it's absolutely. I don't even know how to express that. Here we have a peace deal that was going to go on, that both parties, both warring parties, were okay with, and the U.S. and the U.K. didn't want it to happen. Why? Why? You know, I have a hashtag that I use often. It's question everything, and so the question is why. Now we can speculate on the answers, but I don't think we're going to get the actual story. But I think that it's clear that the United States wants some type of war with Russia. They want a proxy war. They want to see Russia fall. So what better way to use Russia to fall than to use Ukraine to make that happen? But the truth is, Russia's way bigger than Ukraine, and they're not going to fall. I don't think they're going to fall. If anything, you know, it could steer Russia to align itself with other members of our enemies. I mean, they've already been aligned with Iran, and they're getting closer and closer with China. Right. So what is all of this? You know, looking back at this, where are we now? Well, it just so happens just a couple of days ago, Joe Biden said that we were close to Armageddon.
As Ukraine continues to recapture swathes of its territory, a warning that the prospect of defeat could make Russian President Putin desperate enough to use nuclear weapons from US President Joe Biden. He said, "We have not faced the prospect of Armageddon since Kennedy and the Cuban Missile Crisis. For the first time since the Cuban Missile Crisis, we have a direct threat to the use of nuclear weapons, if in fact things continue down the path they've been going."
No, again, Russia invaded Ukraine under the Obama administration. I mean, the Middle East was a mess under the Obama administration. No issues with Trump. We defeated ISIS. Russia was kept at bay, and people are going to be like, oh, that's his friend. That doesn't make sense. If it was his friend, that would be a perfect opportunity to attack, because then he knows that his friend is going to cover his back and not do anything back. It's a ridiculous claim. It's very clear that these people don't fear us because of the policies and attitude that these people have. And when I say these people, I mean the Democratic Party. They're weak. They're yellow. Even though they love war, they seem. I always thought that Republicans were the ones who were the warmongers, and sure enough, we do have warmongers within our party. I'm not even going to lie about that. I think Lindsey Graham is a good example of that. There've been plenty of people that are pro-war within the Republican Party, but I thought on a whole the Democrats were not pro-war, and ever since the Obama administration, it's clear that they are, and we've got warmongers both on the Democratic side as well. And here you've got an ability, a chance to squash the turmoil that's happening over there between these two countries. But no, we stop it. And now here we are. We're getting threats regularly from these dictators. And you know, and now this guy comes out and writes about Armageddon. Are you kidding me? Are you for real? This is where we're at. We went from having pretty good economy, having peace around the world, you know, as much peace as possible, as humanly possible. And now, you know, it's all gone in a crap bag, right? Everything's falling apart at the seams. What about China? Huh? How about focusing on China? How about the fact that they have, and as I've mentioned before, they are our geopolitical enemy. They've stolen intel, technology, etc. They've infiltrated our schools, etc. Heck, we had a Tucker Carlson reported, I think it was last year, how there was a prominent Chinese person who was talking about how they had bought out certain politicians in the United States. Couldn't go into the details of mentioning who and so on and so forth, for obvious reasons. But that claim, I believe it. I believe that claim. There's no evidence to confirm it, right? But if you look at what took place with C-19 and the fact that not one single prominent Democrat, not one single Democrat approved or was supporting the investigations of the origin of that, tells me that Chinese person, whoever they may be, has some validity to their claim. And it's absolutely disgusting. So again, where is the focus here from the left? Where's the focus from these leaders? It doesn't seem like it's for the majority of the country. It seems like it's for pockets and small irrelevant things. But because these small irrelevant pockets seem to scream the loudest and throw themselves like babies on the floor at Walmart and throw a tantrum, right? Then what happens is the parent will cave in and get them that candy or that toy and so on and so forth. And that's pretty much the leftist woke movement that we have going on right now. Let's focus on mutilating our children versus the economy. Let's focus on, I don't know what else, straws, right? Instead of focusing in on a country that's looking to take us out, right? No, we can't focus. We can't seem to focus. Let's focus on killing babies in the womb instead of making sure that our kids are well educated and that we can, challenge, the Chinese when it comes to, I think the Chinese are far surpassing our children when it comes to discipline and education and so on. Let's focus on things that don't really matter on a whole versus a strong military so that when push comes to shove and we need to fight, we're equipped for it. Right now, our military is, in my opinion, in my view, and based on a lot of the military experts that are not biased, right, there's a concern. We're not hitting our recruitment numbers. That's been reported, and we've reported it as well. And so there's legitimate concern about, can we get into a fight and win? I've seen many experts talk about how, computer models show that we're going to lose, and we're going to lose bad. So guys, why do I bring this up? Because the midterms are right around the corner. It's important that we do not stay home. If you have early voting, go out and vote. Please get that done. Don't vote by mail. Vote directly at the ballot. Go straight to your location and vote in person. Why? Because funny things can happen if you do mail-in voting. Please, if you are able to, go in person and vote in person. Take your time. Your job should allow you to do it. If it's a question of work, most companies allow time off for that. So take a look at your employee package, ask your supervisor if there's time. This is important. We cannot assume that we're going to win by a landslide, that the red wave is coming, and that we can just afford to sit home and let everybody else vote for us. No, we have to vote because we need change. We need better leadership. I don't care. Honestly, I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat, but right now the Democrats, these are not the same Democrats from like even the 90s, from Bill Clinton's era. These are different Democrats. These are different leaderships. This is like a Marxist movement. This is a movement that seems to hate this country. And at every turn, they tell you how bad this country is, how bad it was, how bad it is, how it deserves, etc., etc., etc. You cannot love and successfully lead a country if you hate it in secret. And they're not even doing it in secret. Just go look at a lot of the videos from 2020, and you'll see how they really feel about this country. So that's why it's important for us to get out there and vote, guys. Guys, until the next episode, take care. Peace out. God bless America.